This is Dr. Stanley Lang, and welcome to this broadcast. This particular episode is devoted to chronic stress reduction, and I'm talking about whole health, wellness, and disease prevention. And the context for this is what I would call a body, mind, spirit approach. So focusing on emotional health, physical health, and spiritual health would be what we call a whole health approach. A lot of folks just focus on the body, some on the mind also, and the spiritual rarely, unless they're primarily focusing on the spiritual approach. And what I'm advocating is doing all three at the same time. The spiritual perspective that I bring to the table is looking at it through the lenses of a Christian worldview, and I'll mention that more later on. But the overlap between emotional health and this whole person approach, this holistic approach, is the idea of having a goal of chronic stress reduction. So chronic stress is a chemical change that happens in our body in response to having two parts of our chemical system turned on all the time. One produces a lot of cortisol or cortisone-like chemicals, which we call steroids. The other is producing a lot of, the other chemical system that's turned on at a higher than normal amount is too much adrenaline being pumped out over and over again. Now, the difference between acute stress and chronic stress is the difference between being chased once by a dog and climbing up a tree and being safe, and being chased by that same dog every day, day after day after day, and starting to have to anticipate that you're going to be chased by that dog. And the difference between acute stress and chronic stress is the difference between the first and the second scenario. So chronic stress is really our enemy. And how can we deal with chronic stress with looking at it from the emotional health perspective? And what is the overlap with that in physical health? I saw two patients today that both experience what we call emotional eating. That is, when they get stressed out, when they feel stressed out, they will eat foods that raise the blood sugar quickly. So what happens when you eat high glycemic foods that raise the blood sugar quickly is that there's an increase in two kinds of chemicals, actually more than this, but two words you may have heard of before is endorphins and serotonin. And the endorphins are like narcotics, and the serotonin is a brain chemical that is often used to treat depression, or modifying the serotonin level is often used as a strategy to treat depression, and we have a lot of medicines that do that. Well, so do a lot of foods, and so different foods that raise the blood sugar quickly will raise the serotonin level quickly, but then what happens is that it drops quickly, and as the serotonin levels drop in the brain, so you see this graph where it goes up quickly, comes down quickly. That's actually a graph of what's happening in the blood sugar after you eat a food that is digested quickly to sugar, but the brain mirrors that, and as the sugar level in the bloodstream is dropping quickly, we start to feel fatigue and we start to feel stress, and that's mirrored in the brain. So what happens is, if I eat emotionally, if I eat out of emotional stress, I usually will choose a food that raises the blood sugar quickly, because I want to feel better I want that feeling in my mind that happens by the endorphins rising quickly and the serotonin levels rising quickly. So if I want to pull the plug on this vicious cycle where the blood sugar rises quickly, serotonin in the brain rises quickly, and then everything drops quickly, then I need to start eating in a low glycemic manner, and that will cause the blood sugar to rise more slowly, and then it won't drop real quickly. And so there's the overlap between how I feel, the stress levels, the emotion of feeling stressed out, and the physical body. The overlap between that feeling, that emotion of feeling stressed out, and my physical body is this decision of whether to eat the the high glycemic foods that raise the blood sugar quickly versus the low glycemic foods that don't raise the blood sugar quickly. And if I am faithful to eating low glycemic foods over and over again, meal after meal, literally within 5 days, the blood chemistry changes, start to stabilize, the brain chemistry changes, start to stabilize, and I will feel better emotionally. So the feeling of being stressed out will be diminished appreciably if I simply start eating lower glycemic. So the idea is that if I want to feel less stress, one of the important things to do is to start eating right. And so in other places, I've taught about how to eat low glycemic meals as a way to control chronic stress response, and I have a whole course on how to teaches you how to do that. But you can start doing that today. You can start feeling less stressed today by simply starting to making the decision of eating low glycemic meals that don't raise the blood sugar quickly. Well, so what are the high glycemic foods to avoid? Basically, there's 4 that are common in our society: white flour foods, and generally other grains, potatoes, white potatoes, that means the inside of the potato, rice, and sugar. Those are the high glycemic foods, and so the less I eat of those, the more I restrict them, the less stress I will feel in the long run. So when I am feeling like I want to eat the food that makes me feel better, if I just moderate it slightly and eat fruit, vegetable, protein at that time in equal amounts instead of the high glycemic food, I will still feel better within minutes, but I will not have the rapid drop in blood sugar, the rapid drop in brain sugar, and the rapid drop in serotonin, and feeling stressed out and feeling tired. Instead, I'll feel more energized. So I encourage you to understand the connection between your body, your mind, and your spirit as you approach your wellness, that the 3 together work powerfully to help you to be as well as possible and to heal the stress in your life. So I wish you well. God bless, and have a great day.